Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing great out there. So today I wanted to introduce and kind of do a preview video on our 9mm reloading project that we have going on this year. It's kind of a mega reloading project because we're going to be doing a variety of different loads using different powders, bullets, all that. And I personally myself, there's probably folks out there that just do one load, for 9mm or whatever, they get set on one load. Me, I do a variety of them, and I'll talk about why that is. But you can see, first of all, I'll introduce our little friend here, the Uzi. The Uzi, of course, has a voracious appetite for 9mm, and so, of course, we want to keep it fed, and we want to keep it fed cheaply. So that's definitely one of the loads we're going to be doing, so I'll talk about that in a second. But the whole idea behind this and where we're going to kind of go with this is essentially I'm going to do multiple video series this year, and there's going to be essentially where we kind of come up with a load in terms of what powder we're going to use, what bullet we're going to use. We're going to work a load up. We're going to test it out for accuracy, reliability, and also we're going to chronograph it. And then once we get set on that particular load, we're going to go ahead and load 500 to 1500 of that particular load and put it into production and do, like I said, a little production run of them. And that'll be basically the end of that video series. And then we will move on at some point to the next one with a new powder, a new bullet combination, even primer combination, and and we'll do the whole thing kind of over again in terms of doing a video series for that particular load. So probably what we're looking at is over the next year or so, 4 to 6 different video series on different 9mm loads that we're going to do. The other thing too is the powders that you'll see today. I'm actually on the lookout for powders that I've not used before for 9mm. So here probably, I'm thinking late February, March, there's a couple of really good places in my state you can go to for reloading supplies. I'm going to go and take a little big day trip out to see a couple of places and see what they have on offer, if there's anything that I want to go ahead and load. I know, for instance, like the accurate powders, I've used those before, and those work real good. I just haven't seen them on the shelf. So if I come across any other interesting powders I might want to do, I'll definitely pick those up, as well as bullets as well. So to kind of start out with, the first thing is what brass we're going to use. And for me, the way I do 9mm is I personally, when prices were good, I was buying just tons of factory ammo. It's like back in the good old days, whenever Trump was in office, you could go into Cabela's or you could go online, and there was always, some sort of brass cased 9mm. I think the cheapest I ever saw it was Aim Surplus, had Privy Partisan. I think it was like $6.56 a box. And so, and then I remember at Cabela's, they had Herders for, I don't know, $8 a box or whatever. Well, if prices are that cheap, I was just buying up factory ammo left and right. But also, too, if I find deals on brass, whether new or used, I'll grab that too. So a lot of the brass we're going to use is a combination of nickeled brass that I picked up from, I think it was Capital Cartridge in Texas. I got a great deal on it, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And then also too, there's some Lapua brass that's mixed in from Finland that I got a great deal on from Graf and Sons in Missouri. So they're a big reloading supplier. And the past year or two, I haven't found too many good deals there, of course, with everything that's going on. But, they were a really good company to kind of stay up with, because on occasion they'd have some great deals on different things, and the Lapua brass was one of them. They had like 1,000 cases. It was like 50% off from the usual price, whatever it was. So there's a mix of that. And then there's also probably some Winchester NATO brass in here, and just a variety of other manufacturers. So probably I'd say about 2/3 of it's probably going to end up being nickel, and then a variety of brass, and that's what we're going to be using for this. It's possible I might separate out the Lapua cases since they're so pricey for a certain load. We'll see. It depends if I'm interested in taking the time to do that or not. But the thing with 9mm is that if you shoot a lot of it, let's say like with the Uzi here, or if you have a CZ Scorpion, or if you do a lot of match shooting, you're going to lose cases, and so that's why I buy factory ammo, even though I load 9mm, and that's also too why if I find good deals on brass, I'll go ahead and I'll pick that up, because like I said, you're going to lose cases, so you got to kind of keep your supplies up, and so that's what I always aim to do. So what I've been doing is also swaging these as well, so I've got a whole swaging operation set up. I think I still have about 2,000 cases to go. And then as I finish them, what I do is I go through a washing process where I get them all washed and cleaned. And if you can check out 2 videos I did almost a year ago of how I clean cases and how I get the brass basically looking sparkling brand new and ready to load. So we're going through the process of getting all these bins of this brass. And then also, too, I love my little desiccant packs I throw in there. And so eventually we're just going to get these pretzel containers just filled up with this brass. And we should be able to keep that press nice and supplied with brass. Now, next thing is let's take a look at, first of all, our primer situation. Now, obviously, of course, out there in the world, the primer situation sucks, and it's not good right now. And here's the thing I will tell you is, and I learned this almost 10 years ago during the first little kind of debacle out there, and I guess there's been others in the past where there's been, I heard back in the 90s, there guys telling me there was a big primer shortage when Clinton came in. But as we've seen through the years, we seem to go through these cycles of, plentiful supplies, low prices, and then there's another panic or hysteria driven by politics or some sort of incident or whatever it might be. And then we're back to high prices, low supplies, all that. And we just seem to always go through these cycles. So one of the things that I did back, let's see, it was probably about 2015 or so, was after things had calmed down from 2013, and obviously that was a big, a lot of things disappeared, is Cabela's brought in these cellular and below primers. And the cool thing is they were pricing them essentially at $19.99 a box on sale. Now, I think later they raised the prices up a little bit into the upper 20s, but on occasion they would still have them for $19.99 on sale. Or initially when they came out, that's what they were priced as. The other thing was, before Cabela's got bought out by Bass Pro Shops, you could often get 20% off coupons. So when you could pick these up for $16 a box, what do you think I was doing? I was buying them, And so this is the main primer that we're going to use. It's the cellular and below small pistol primer. Now, the thing that I have found with using these compared to the CCI primers, which I'm a big fan of the CCI primers, is that the European primers, after I did some research on these, what I discovered is they apparently are slightly wider, just the tiniest little bit wider than American small pistol primers. And so what I found is that when you use these is that sometimes they're kind of a tight fit. And that's the reason why I am swaging all the 9mm brass that I have, because especially like the Winchester NATO stuff is crimped. And so I don't want to run into any issues on the progressive press, loading these into the primer pockets. So I went ahead and swaged everything, which I think is going to be a big benefit compared to the last time I used them, where they were a little more fussy. And my preferred primers, the ones that I really like, are the CCIs. The CCIs, never had a failure or issue with them. They fit in the primer pockets just great. But I think for right now, what I'm going to do is keep these in the strategic reserve. And so I've got a bunch of these, and I think I'm just going to save them for a rainy day down the line. However, it's possible that we might we might take out a box of 1,000 of them and use them and do a load with them. We'll see what I'm thinking. But for right now, I've got more than enough of these Cellular and Below primers from years ago. And, for 1.6 cents a primer, might as well use these up. And, so I have more than enough to cover what we're doing. So I think we'll pretty much stick with these. The other thing I've heard about these is the primer cup is a little bit kind of more, what's the best way to describe it? The primer cup's a little bit harder. Myself personally, I don't think I've had too many issues lighting these off. I think there might have been one firearm where I think I might have had a misfire or two with them, and I'm trying to remember which firearm that was. But anyways, so I've used them in the past. They seem to work just fine. I've used them plenty in 45 ACP, the large pistol ones, and they seem to work great. So, we'll go through it and use these, and it should be fine. I don't foresee any big issues. However, like I said, myself personally, I prefer the CCI primers because they've always been 100% for me. But hey, for 1.6 cents a primer, hey, we'll take it, and we'll make it work. And like I said, if there's any particular issues or whatever with a certain load that I'm tailoring to a certain firearm, if I have to, I can always switch over to the CCIs. So that's our primer situation there. Next up with bullets. Well, we have a couple of different options here. So let's get a couple things out of the way. We'll put our Uzi here to the side. This is a very nice firearm, but it's heavy. It's definitely an old school gun. If it's like, I think 9 pounds altogether. So some different bullet options we're going to use, and also some different powder options that we have. So I guess let's first take a look at some of the bullets that we're going to use and why. So first up that we're going to talk about is some of the spear bullets that we've got. I've used these successfully now for years, and one of the things that happened in 2019, and this is why it pays to be Johnny on the spot, and one of the things I'm going to do coming up is how to save big money on reloading. And I've always been known by people that know me well and are also into reloading. People are always like, how do you get such amazing deals on stuff? And a lot of it is you just have to kind of be tuned in to what's going on out there in the market and be prepared to jump on sweet deals when they come available. And so in 2019, Spear they had two different, Spear Federal, CCI, I think, they had two different rounds of rebates where you could get a 20% rebate if you bought, I think it was like $100 worth of stuff or something. Anyways, Midway had a great deal where I was able to get, they had a sale where they had all their Spear pistol bullets. They were 20% off, Plus, they gave me birthday pricing, which was like another 10% off. Plus, they gave me free shipping. And then I was able to get the 20% off discount, the rebate as well. So what do you think I did? I bought thousands and thousands of bullets because at the price I paid for them, I think these 124 grain and 147 grain, I think whenever I figured it out at the end, it came out to, I think it was just over 5 cents a bullet or 6 cents a bullet, something in that range there. So for 6 cents a bullet, again, we'll take it. When those deals come up, hey, you better jump on them right away and make hay while the sun shines. So I took advantage of that. And these 124 grain, what we're going to be using these with is, I find these are awesome for my Suomi, my Uzi, my CZ Scorpion, guns like that are kind of more your sub-gun type guns, straight blowback, all that. They seem to kind of like the pointy-nosed 124 grain bullets a bit better. And it just seems to be kind of a general good bullet weight, kind of a mid-range kind of bullet weight between your 115s and your 147s for that type of shooting. The other thing is that you'll see online on YouTube the Military Arms channel. Like I know, I can't remember the guy's name, but he has complained about some of the European blowback sub-gun type guns. They're pistols, and where if you run kind of weak 9mm through them, they tend to kind of choke on it a bit. Especially, I remember the Strybog, for instance. Well, the thing is that with these firearms that are closed bolt blowbacks, is you've got this big heavy ass bolt essentially, and yes, the springs that you use, and I'm sure the people that do the math, they figure it all out. But at the end of the day, with that big mass of that bolt, it needs some oomph in a closed bolt situation to essentially cycle that whole system and make it happen. And if you're running this real weak 9mm, it just is what it is. So what I do is I make my own load, and the thing that I found is Power Pistol is just wonderful for making a good high-powered 9mm load. I think with the chronograph testing out of some of the guns, it runs at like 1,300 feet per second. So it gives it enough oomph where it cycles the action reliably, and I don't have an issue. I've seen before like the semi-automatic Suomis where people have bitched and moaned about, it's such an unreliable gun. I think that one guy who started up TFB TV, Alex C., he listed the Suomi as like one of the worst guns he's ever bought. Well, the thing is that if you actually run hotter 9mm through them like they were designed to run originally, especially considering the fact that they're closed bolt guns now, basically you won't have any issues. So Power Pistol, I found, is an awesome powder to get that kind of performance, and it just works really well with that 124 grain bullet. And so all the guns that I have in that format with this powder and that bullet just chugs like a train. And I have absolutely no reliability issues out of any of them. Now, if you go and you run weak 9mm through it, yeah, you will. It's just like with the Uzi. If you run some of the real weak, cheap, target plinking type 9mm that you buy at one of the big box stores or whatever, yeah, it chokes here and there. But you run like Power Pistol here with that good bullet, and you're good to go. So Power Pistol, awesome powder. Works great for making loads like the Uzi and stuff. Awesome. So, and these 124 grain bullets. This is technically not a full metal jacket bullet. It's what they call they say totally encapsulated full metal jacket. But basically what it is It's a copper-plated bullet, from my understanding, that has like a much thicker plating. And I've never had any issue in terms of the speeds that I'm running them at of the plating stripping or anything. So these babies are good to go. The other thing is I have some of these Hornady 124 grain full metal jacket ones laying around, and these are awesome bullets too. And this is a regular full metal jacket bullet, and these work just as good as the spear bullets, very reliable. You know, I don't have as many of these as I do the spears, but whenever I find in the past like good sales and stuff where I could pick these up pretty cheap, you know, I'll grab them. And so as a result, we got some sitting on the shelf. So we'll probably do a similar load with one of these. And maybe if I can find like another 9mm powder out there that is a good stout powder, kind of like Power Pistol, something similar to that, then we might try to do like a hot load with these and see what we can get just out of curiosity. So those are great bullets. I love them. One thing I've not loaded a lot of in 9mm is 147 grain bullet. And a lot of people love 147 grain bullets in 9mm. The thing, I think in the past I did a load with some Hornady 147 grains that I got. I think maybe I was able to get like 1,000 of them for a real good price. But they're always harder to find at like a really good price out there. And so as a result, I've never really used them much. Like I said, I did that one load years ago, and I think I probably have shot them all up by now. But anyways, along with that spear deal that I got in 2019, I picked up many of these 147 grain bullets. And it's a total metal jacket bullet, similar to that 124 grain bullet. So I've not used these yet, so I think what I'm probably going to do with these is kind of focus on just making a nice kind of match type target load with these. And I think that's what I'm kind of going to aim for with that, for like shooting USPSA, or if I ever do IDPA again. You know, these might be a good bullet for that. And I'm also interested to see how they would perform, say, like in the CZ Scorpion, you know, and see what kind of oomph we can get out of these. So it's quite possible, because I have so many of these, that we could do kind of like a lower, kind of a lower velocity target load, and then maybe we can play with them and try to do like a little bit of a hotter load for, you know, like a Scorpion type firearm or something like that, and see how that works out. So I'm not sure. I think probably what I would lean towards with these 147 grain is I'd probably lean towards, boom, my favorite tight group, okay? So tight group, I've had incredible luck with tight group. The thing with tight group is that it's a low charge weight powder, so you have to kind of watch you don't double charge cases, because with this compared to other powders, it's probably easier to double charge a case with tight group compared to, say, Unique, which is kind of a bigger, fluffier powder. So you do have to kind of keep that in mind, watch that. But the thing with tight group is that it's extremely economical. And it's a powder where you use 4 or 5 grains of it typically for a load. It's very accurate, and you know, I bought this years ago, and it's 8 pounds, and I've made plenty of rounds out of it, but I still got a fair bit. How much do I even have in here? I don't know. It feels like I've got at least half the container, maybe more. Let me have a sneak peek in here. Let's see how much. Oh yeah, I'm probably more than halfway filled up in there. Maybe even a bit more than that, but you know, so I probably got, you know, a good 4 or 5 pounds in there at least, if not more. And the thing with tight group that's really awesome is that you can buy like one of these 8-pound jugs of this stuff, and I'd have to do my math again, but Probably out of 1 pound, you could maybe get about 12 to 1400 rounds out of that. I'm just kind of pulling it off the top of my head. But, you know, basically for 8 pounds of powder, you could probably get more than 10,000 9mm loads out of this whole jug right here, you know. And I think I bought this years ago for like, I don't know, I think it was like $115 or something. So, anyways, love tight group. Love me some tight group. So we're definitely going to do a load with that. So we'll probably do a load with the 147 grain, and I'll talk about these other bullets in a minute. But yeah, tight group, just awesome powder. Like I said, you just have to watch it because it's kind of a low charge weight and it's easy to double charge the case. So just have that awareness about it. But awesome, economical powder. Love it. Next thing in terms of bullets that we have is, this is one of the containers I have of these Hornady 115 grain full metal jacket bullets. These are obviously very common out there. You know, really nice, good quality bullet, you know, typical full metal jacket. And these are great for, hey, just doing some general purpose plinking, you know, getting out there and just, you know, hey, you want to shoot some steel or, you know, bring some friends over and just do some general target shooting. These are great for that. The one thing I find for matches, like whenever I've used these in like IDPA or USPSA, is whenever they set up one of those steel targets to like trigger another target to come out, a lot of times these don't have like the oomph and weight behind them to knock over that steel target to trigger that other target or whatever. So I've had to watch that whenever I shoot matches with these, that if I see a stage coming up like that, that I need to use a heavier weight, higher velocity 9mm bullet to make that happen, because a lot of times, you know, you sit there, boom, boom, you have to shoot it like 3 times or whatever to get it to fall over. So that is one thing, you know, in some of those situations where these might not be ideal, but for general purpose plinking, all good. And so I think probably what we're going to aim to do with these here, because it's just a general target load, we can do tight group. Yeah, that's fine. But one of the things I did is I got about 2 pounds of the CFE pistol. I recently used it in 45 ACP and I wasn't really like mega overly wild with it. And you know, so I don't know, maybe not really the fault of the powder, but it's a thing where because I have 2 pounds of it, you know, we'll try it in 9mm and we'll see how it works. I don't know. You know, I've read some internet stuff recently on the forums where some people are like, they like it. Other people are like, they don't. But, you know, I have it to use up. So if we can get like a decent 9mm target load out of this and use that powder up, then sweet. And then also, too, the nice thing is that right now, for instance, on the shelves, I've had no trouble finding this on the shelf out there. So Hognan, they've been making this, I guess, and so have no trouble. Just about any gun store that has, you know, typically decent reloading supplies on the shelf, haven't had any issue finding this. So because of that, if it's widely available, I'm sure there's interest from people out there that want to see some loads, you know, worked up with this, and so, you know. So it's worth looking into. The other powder that we have is we have some Win 231, which I guess people use in 9mm. I've never used it before in 9mm. It's something that we can check out and maybe work up a load with. I've heard good things about it in 9mm, so you know, let's see what it does. So probably like with those 115 grain bullets, that's maybe not a bad idea to go ahead and, you know, try some of this out and see if we can work up a load. I know a lot of people love using this in 45 ACP. When I did my loads in 45 ACP with it, I was kind of like, it's okay, you know. But I wasn't really kind of wowed by it, and I think maybe, you know, I like using tight group in 45 ACP. So, you know, so I don't know. I like tight group. But yeah, we have a couple pounds of this stuff. So I'm always like, hey, if we can work up a load for it and, use it up, then hey, all good, and so we can try that out. So for maybe the 147 grain or the 115 grain, we could look at doing a load with those. And then the other thing I thought about doing a load with 9mm to kind of wrap this video up is unique. Okay. Now, when I first started my very first reloading that I did, I went into the gun store and I was kind of acquiring all the different stuff I needed. I had a Lee hand press and I got my dies and this and that, and I managed to get some bullets from Midway. They were like these Remington seconds or whatever, and so I needed powder, so I went to the gun store, and at that time in late 2013, the shelves were kind of like right now. They were pretty much bare, and the only thing that they pretty much had was unique. And so I was talking to the guy, and he's like, hey, so you're loading 9mm, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, as you can see, pretty much all the powders right now are gone, but there's this powder that's used in shotgun a lot and also pistol. It's kind of older powder, but he said the advantage with unique for you starting out is because it's kind of a bigger, fluffier powder, it's hard to double charge a case with it. Not saying it's not impossible if you're totally not paying attention, but he said, this is a pretty good powder to start with. It's, pretty easy to work with, no big issues. And he said pretty much that's all we got anyways. So he looked up some loads with me at the counter, and he said he wrote down some stuff for me and sold me a bottle of this, and away I went. And so since then, back whenever there weren't a lot of powders available and I started loading 45 ACP, this also worked on 45 ACP. I believe back during World War I, World War II, they loaded a lot of the 45 ACP with unique for our soldiers. So it's been around since 1899, and I think the reason why there could be some interest if I did a load with this is that, again, it's a thing of we're in times where we have to use what's available. And so a lot of these dual purpose powders that are used in pistol or shotgun, they might be more available than some of these other powders. And so, you got to kind of use what you can get your hands on. And so, if unique is out there, it's a thing of where, hey, well, let's make it work. So I loaded up 9mm with it for, I don't know, probably a year, 2 years before I started trying other powders. And it's a little bit smokier or dirtier than things like, say, Tight Group here. But it works, and if it works, sometimes, hey, it works. You just got to roll with it. So we might look at doing a load with that. So that'll pretty much wrap it up. And like I said, there's some other powders out there. I'll take a trip in late February, March, see what's on the market. If I find something else that's interesting, maybe we'll take a punt and kind of add that in and maybe work up a load with whatever that might be. So I'm kind of curious. I've been to different gun stores. The ones I've been to recently don't have a lot. And so these other places, though, are more oriented towards reloaders. And if they're going to, if there's anything out there, they're going to have it probably first before anybody else. So we'll go check them out. And yeah, if I can find another interesting powder or two, we might go ahead and get that also. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So a lot of different types of bullets, a lot of different types of powders, a couple different types of primers perhaps. And so we're going to do some interesting loads. Probably use a variety of different firearms, everything from the Uzi, the Suomi, the CZ Scorpion, some pistols, all that to work up the loads and kind of what we're orienting that load to. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned and see what project we're going to do first. I would say right now what I'm kind of leaning towards is to do our load with the Uzi and the Suomi first with our power pistol, and also to our 124 grain bullets. And I've already worked up a load for it, so with that there might not be a lot of load development, but we'll still go out there, we'll chrono it, all that sort of thing, so you can kind of see that and see how it works. And we might even do a back-to-back comparison where we'll shoot some weak. I'll see if I'll look through my whole 9mm collection, see if I can kind of find some weak 9mm, and we'll shoot that, and then you can see the power pistol back to back with it and kind of see what you think. So that might be a good idea to do. So yeah, lots of cool stuff coming up. Stay tuned. Also on the rifle side of the bench, there's going to be 300 Blackout and 7.5 Swiss and stuff. So you're going to start seeing videos coming out for that too. So be prepared for that. And yeah, hope you all have a good day. You enjoyed this video. Any questions or comments, feel free to post below any ideas that you have. Right now, because of the way the supply situation is, in terms of things like bullets and stuff, I have so much stuff on the shelf, I'm going to use that first. I'm not going to go out and buy way overpriced stuff if I don't have to. So I'm going to use kind of what I stored on the shelf. So, but any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below. Interested to hear from you guys. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.